Hey everybody, welcome to Off Grid with Brad and Kelly. I'm Brad.
I'm Kelly.
And today we're talking fire. This is our fire kit. A fire kit is a single position that you put all of your fire making materials into. We suggest that everybody has one, not just for a survival situation, but also on the homestead.
Absolutely.
Fire for a millennia has been an important, an intricate part of the survival of human beings.
Yes.
We're born into this earth with no fur coat, where we live all of our lives. Kelly says I have a little bit of a fur coat, but we live most of our lives without a fur coat, and we have to seek out and get sources of heat, find a way to purify our water, find a way to cook our food. We're very vulnerable in that manner.
Absolutely, and the light from a fire comforts a human. You get
instinctual.
It makes you feel comfortable to be near this fire.
Right. So this is our fire kit. It's one of our many fire kits.
Yes.
It's in a waterproof satchel. That's a very important part.
Right.
Because
you don't want anything in your fire kit to get wet.
That's
sure,
right.
you have stuff that would still be okay if it did get damp, but you want to try to protect it as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, you're going to go to this kit when all of your other sources of making fire fail. So if the ground is saturated with water, if the wood that you find is all wet, if your lighter is broken, that's when you're going to dive into this kit.
Yes.
So inside of our kit we have tinder source. We have two tinder sources, one in the form of raw cotton balls, normal women's makeup cotton balls, and the second in the form of wax cotton balls that we have inundated with wax to become a ready and long-lasting tinder source.
Exactly. And we have 3 different fire starters in here.
Right. We have 3 different ignition sources.
Right.
We have a magnifying glass, which is something that you'll use. It's not something you want to rely on because it's environmental.
Right.
We have a ferro rod and a lighter.
Yes.
So that gives us 3 different options. Now we just took our flint and steel kit out to do something else, or else you would see it in here too, in a small tin.
And with char cloth, because char cloth would make a great addition to a fire kit.
That's right. Char cloth you would use for really everything. You would use char cloth for the magnifying glass, for the flint and steel, for the ferro rod, and for the lighter.
Absolutely.
So I suggest that everybody makes their own tinder kit.
Yes.
And please make a part of your tinder kit a wax fireball.
Absolutely.
Today we're going to be showing you how to make one. Okay everyone, so this project is going to cost you about $10. Now if you have the supplies on hand, of course reuse what you have.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a couple of things that you have to have that you can't get away without. One of those is a cook pot.
Yes.
Now you can either use a stainless steel cook pot like this, or you can use a number 10 can.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a small batch, you can use something as little as just a tin can.
Yeah, like a little corn or tomato can or something like that.
Yeah, whatever you use, acknowledge that from that point on, that's going to only be the wax cook pot.
You will never, I shouldn't say never, but you won't get all the wax off.
Right.
It is going to be permanently for that. So this is our wax ball pot.
Yes, that's right. So we had recently done a batch in which we used rope.
Yes.
We did this last weekend or the weekend before because I had some jute twine on hand and a friend brought over some candles and we gave it a shot. I'm not very happy with the way that the fibers soaked up the wax. They didn't do nearly as well as the cotton balls will.
Right.
So this, while it's still usable, and we had 48 hours worth of rain here, I was still able to bring wet wood to flame with half of one of these today to make this fire.
Right.
So it still has a great use. Kind of goes to show you just use whatever you have on hand, but
There's ideal things to use.
Yeah, the reason we're making these today is because our supply was running low and I wasn't as happy with these. So you're going to need your stainless steel cook pot.
Yep.
You're going to need your candles.
Yes.
Now, these were dollar store candles.
Yes, and it's a pack of 6 and they are the emergency candles. So they are made to burn for 4.5 hours.
Right, yeah. And for $1 for 6 at 4.5 hours, the formulation of the wax that they use to give them a slow burn is really important because that's going to allow you to have a slow burning wax fireball fire starter.
Yes.
So that you don't have to worry, am I going to dry out the wood in time?
Right.
Am I going to do all those things?
Yeah, am I not going to have everything collected and my flame's going to go out, or just anything. It'll help you in the long run.
Yeah. So you want to be careful because wax does have an ignition point. It has an explosive point.
Right.
So as you put them in here, your real danger, if you're not using a double boiler, which, you know,
ideally
you would.
it'd be great,
Yeah,
but
I never have, but ideally you would.
Right.
So if you're not using one, then what you want to do is just keep the flames from licking over the top, where they could come inside and make the wax reach
Right.
that explosive
and
point.
if you already have wax in there, then don't just toss the candles in.
Yeah,
you
right,
know,
exactly.
and especially if you're doing a small batch, then there's a higher chance of the wax spilling over and onto the fire. So just, you know, wear a glove, or if it's not that hot, you don't want to have it, you know, just carefully place it in.
Yeah, right. Take all the necessary precautions,
Right.
of course. So the last thing that you're going to need is your cotton balls.
Yes.
These, again, were a dollar store purchase. This, although it's a life-saving, potentially life-saving tool that you're making, it doesn't have to be expensive.
No, just cheap, just 100% cotton.
Right.
That's all that is required for these. So just don't splurge and get, you know, a name brand or
Yeah, right.
organic only cotton or something like that. Just 100% cotton. That's all you need.
Yeah, so definitely give this a shot for yourself. Once you put the candles in and let them, you know, melt down. Now you can use kids, you know, crayons, broken
Absolutely.
crayons.
Reuse things. You know, all the little broken crayons that you still try to use, start collecting them and then use those. We don't recommend using scented candles,
Right.
because then they're scented. They're going to have that perfume on them, and that's not really
what you want.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you
not
don't-
something you want.
Especially if you're using it in a potentially disastrous situation.
Right, yeah, you don't want a, nice, I don't know, apple pie smell or something.
Yeah, you don't want the Yankee Candle vanilla cookie smell. So once you have your candles melted, then you're going to take your wax and just go ahead and drop them in. Now the real trick here that you'll learn is you want to reach the saturation point of the wax and of the cotton balls without going over that. You don't want to have too much wax for too little cotton balls, and you don't want to have too much cotton balls for too little wax.
Right, yeah, you want all the cotton balls to be able to absorb the wax, get impregnated with it, and you don't want dry ones stuck in there.
Right.
And you want to really stir them around. We usually just grab a stick from outside.
Right.
If you have cheap, really long spoons, stuff like that, you could do that. However, then again, that's going to be permanently for this.
Yeah,
so
right.
we tend to just grab a stick or something similar to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, and then you want to stir them around, really saturate every single cotton ball in there.
And be careful, because it is hot wax.
Absolutely.
So, as I'm stirring, as things are splashing around, I am getting, kind of sprayed with hot wax. If don't let that surprise you, so you knock the whole pan over.
Oh yeah. Make a big mess.
Yeah, just like with all things with fire, you just have to respect it and
Right.
pay attention to what you're doing.
And don't just dump the whole bag in. Like Brad was saying, you want to really watch the saturation of it. So put a little bit in at a time, stir it around. Sometimes, if you just drop the whole bag in there, you're going to have a big, giant wax ball.
Which we've done before.
Yes. You learn with your mistakes.
That's right. And don't worry about it getting dirty. Don't worry about any of that. These are for making fires.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to keep it pristine and clean and all that. Some dirt is going to get in there. Some pieces of stick, things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to get in there.
Yeah, you don't have to be too, particular.
And it's not going to interfere with their purpose.
Right.
They'll still work.
Okay, so after you have gotten the wax balls saturated with wax, you're going to want to take your stock pot, your boil pot off of the fire, off of the flame, and you're going to want something to dry these wax balls out.
Yeah.
The best that you can separate them now will make it a lot easier later on. It'll allow them to be individualized instead of a big clump.
Right.
So we have a leftover concrete bag for mixing concrete for our posts here.
Right.
And we saved it knowing that we were going to make these today. So just take it, make sure you wear gloves. This is going to be extremely hot.
And the balls are going to be hot too.
Yep. And go ahead and dump it on. Now, if you have excess wax and if you don't want to lose that, you can certainly just scrape out the wax balls.
Right.
And leave the wax in there for next time. Like as you could see at the beginning, we had some wax left over.
Yes.
Don't worry, these are going to leak just a little bit, but do your best to separate them now. And like I said, it's going to make it a lot easier to separate them later on.
Yes.
Okay, so after you've left them to dry, you're going to be left with a whole bunch, a couple dozen of little wax fireballs. These are important. You're going to want to put them in every one of your survival kits, in your kids' fire starting kits. Leave them with lighters around the house in a Ziploc bag so that everyone knows where they are and when and how to use them.
Absolutely. And they're waterproof, so that's another benefit.
That's right. So guys, we hope that this will give you the initiative to get out and make a set of these for yourself. I have been out camping for 2 weeks at a time and not been able to start a fire using traditional methods. These are what really saved the day. Now, if you were stuck in a disaster, if you had to evacuate and make a fire, or if you were just pulled over to the side of the road and wanted to start just 1 cup of coffee, this is going to do it for you.
Absolutely.
As always, guys, from Kelly and I to you and yours, we hope that you stay safe, keep watch, and get out and make some of these.
Bye.
Have a great day.